Hey guys, Mr. B XRP here. Today I want to discuss my conversation I had with David Schwartz when I was at Swell. The conversation he and I had obviously about Ripple and XRP. But before I do, just a little bit of news from yesterday. Dilla Brow had posted a tweet yesterday which was surprising, I think, to everybody except for him and the folks at Ripple. And his tweet read, and for those of you that aren't on Twitter, I'll read it specifically. It said, "After an exciting last lap at Ripple since July 2014, I am retiring from active duty to put my feet up in Australia, end of 2019. Grateful to all the many friends and colleagues who made every day a joy. Best to my mates at Ripple, and hashtag XRP community, and hashtag keep the faith." So this was a very, very interesting tweet. One of the things that a lot of people are asking is, what did he mean by the last lap? Is the last lap that someone's taking over for him and he's done running the race? Is the last lap that he's done with central bankers and Ripple's done with central bankers and things are in place and ready to go? Who knows? We won't know until we see if he gets replaced or we see if something begins to occur. But it certainly was an interesting statement. Also, I found it nice and bullish and encouraging that he really doesn't interact with the XRP community very much. But he did decide to hashtag the XRP community. And he hashtagged XRP community, hashtag keep the faith. I think that was cool, and I think it shows his optimism and his encouragement toward the XRP community. So I thought that was really neat. Excuse me. And about an hour later, he did another tweet. And that other tweet was, let's see here. Thank you all for your warm sentiments. NDAs do persist, but I can comment from time to time. It's summer in Australia now. The water is warm and the beer is cold. So it looks like he needed people to know that he can't answer any heavy questions with his non-disclosure agreement in place with that statement. So he's kind of letting everybody know, hey, lay off the heavy stuff. I can't do it, but we'll see what happens. We'll see if he gives any more information in the future. I doubt it. I hope he's probably going to slip into retirement and do his thing, and he deserves it. So I did have the pleasure of meeting Dilla Brow when I was at Swell, and he was a very reserved gentleman and very respectful. I wouldn't say he was very talkative, but that's just not his style. So I think he did a fantastic job at Ripple. He was a class act, and I wish him well in his retirement and everything he does. So moving on to my conversation with David, which is completely, his personality is completely different than Dilla Brow. I did have a very deep and lengthy conversation with David, who I can tell you will begin to melt your brain about 20 seconds into any conversation. I am not a technical guy. I try to hang in there. I try to understand. I ask questions for clarification because it just doesn't sit with me well. I'm a sales and marketing guy, so it's not my deal. But when you're talking to David Schwartz, you got to listen and you got to ask questions. But first, let me set the stage. By the time I met with David, I had just traveled 25 hours on an airplane, got to the hotel, got a couple of hours sleep. And frankly, in the 4 days I was in Singapore on the ground, I only slept about 12 hours in 4 days. So my point is, I certainly wasn't myself, but I figured nobody else was themselves either. It's amazing how much of the trip came back to my memory. After I got back over several days, I began to remember a lot that happened. It's really hard. That time travel is unbelievable, and I couldn't sleep when I was there for whatever reason. My biological clock was messed up. So but anyway, I did want to kind of put these thoughts down and share them with you. Let's see here. So these questions and the answers that I'm about to give you are not exactly the words, as I didn't tape them, but I can guarantee that they're close enough, and the sentiment of how I'm explaining them are 100%. So back to David and the questions. So I asked David about Ripple's presentation to banks. I said to David, I've been in sales a very long time, and I can't imagine your sales team presenting the Ripple solution and getting to the end to explain the advantages of using XRP with on-demand liquidity and wrapping up the sales pitch with, if there's ever a bull run, we sure hope there's enough liquidity in the system and the value of XRP is high enough that you can move your large sums of money. David looked at me and said that that was the biggest challenge in the presentation to financial institutions, is keeping their expectations under control on when they'd be able to use ODL for the larger transfers. So I kind of ended that question there. When you're talking to these people at Ripple, you kind of have to, I think, temper yourself a little bit on how far you can go. So I think that was about as far as I can go with that. But obviously there needs to be an increase in the value, which David has mentioned many times, and certainly we have a corridor situation where we need more corridors open. But that was the first question I asked him, which brings me to the next question. I said to David, there's really two schools of thought in the XRP community. There's the Galgatron theory, with the price rising slowly over a long period of time, or there's the mass adoption event where everybody gets off the bench at the same time to jump in the game. And David looked at me with a little bit of a grin, and he said, the flaw in the slow and steady theory is that if it starts to move slow and steady, investors will pick up on it, jump in, and it won't stay slow and steady for long. So I think he made his point that he doesn't believe slow and steady is going to be the way this goes. Now, let me just say this. He's obviously the person that understands XRP the best on the face of the earth. But nobody in the universe has ever experienced XRP before. This has never happened before. So nobody exactly knows what's going to happen. And I don't even think he knows exactly what's going to happen. He has an idea what's going to happen, but nobody knows for sure what's going to happen. Maybe he knows how it's going to happen, but nobody really knows what's going to happen. But I think that was an interesting response. Also, David went on to tell me about how in the near future, when financial institutions are looking at their computer screens, preparing to send money and making their choice on using a basic messaging option or on-demand liquidity, that if for any reason they don't choose on-demand liquidity because it isn't the cheapest way to do it, that Ripple will be notified immediately and they'll fix that particular scenario. So essentially there will be a system in place to where if they don't choose ODL, Ripple will want to know why they didn't choose ODL and fix the reason why they didn't use ODL. So the point being is they intend for financial institutions to use ODL. I don't fully understand the process of this, but the sentiment was ODL will be the least expensive way for financial institutions to send money in any corridor at any time, or we will fix it. And I thought that was amazing as well. Lastly, I did mention to David that I remembered he did a tweet about 1.5 years ago, and that tweet stated that he said that he probably would stay with Ripple for about another 1.5 years, and then he'd move on to another project. And David looked at me and he said, this is taking a lot longer than expected, and I'm going to be sticking around to see it through. So the good news is that, we all know it's taken longer than expected. Obviously, regulatory clarity has been an issue in getting these corridors open. But the good news is he's sticking around. He's going to see it through. And he was emphatic about that. I mean, it was like there was no question about it. So I thought that was great. One of the things I want to mention, if you guys ever wonder why I'm so bullish, or the digital asset investor is so bullish, or Brad Kimes is so bullish, it's the progress, it's the teams, it's the confidence like this, hearing from people at Ripple that solidifies we're in the right place at the right time with the right project. And to some of the haters out there who say we're paid by Ripple to say these things, just know this: Ripple has given me nothing other than a ticket to Swell, a few meals, some drinks, a hat, some stickers, a pad, and an umbrella. Okay? They've given me nothing else. The most important thing they gave us when we went to Swell was generous hospitality and respect, which was amazing and more than enough for me. So I'd like to thank everybody at Ripple for inviting me. And that's it for today. I'm not a financial advisor. I'm not an accountant. I'm not a nuclear physicist. And I'm not a crypto expert. Don't make any financial decisions based on anything I say, and consider this video for entertainment purposes only. Like, subscribe, and share with anyone you think who would do the same. And you can also follow me on Twitter at XRPMister. Thank you so much and have a fantastic day.